But we have something a bit more exciting this week. More exciting than all of the hectic news that we have seen in insecurity these past, I would say, couple of weeks since we last met. Now, not only did Wiz walk away from a $23 billion offer, seeking an IPO instead, but also obviously the CrowdStrike outage didn't want to not talk about that. More than 8 million machines were impacted, right? So I feel like most of the impact was felt for those of us traveling within the airline industry. Thousands of folks were not able to make it or go home with significant delays. Seemed like Southwest was the only one not impacted. Because of potentially being on super old versions of Windows. Not information not confirmed, but apparently that's been the buzz. But nonetheless, there's so much content out there right now about what's happened. They're trying to go all in on the issue, and just nonetheless, I hope everyone stayed super sharp and got done what they needed to do, and also maybe even took in some time off to recover from this outage. Now it's super easy to, I feel like, poke fun of this kind of misfortune, and I know the internet and memes did not hold back with that. But it really does. It is really not okay when people take advantage of the situation into like these ambulance chases, and so definitely avoid those people like the plague, right? Saying there's a difference between saying we're not affected, right, and or switch us out. Don't use CrowdStrike. Big thumbs down to those people. Our jobs are pretty tough as it is, right? And it's totally a misfortune. And so we are with you guys on that. And big shout out to CrowdStrike and everybody who did help and jump in and handle that chaos. So you guys rock. Also, someone else who also rocks is Kevin Lowe, our senior threat researcher. He is the content creator of all of our threat research, content that we pipe out and into our Anvilogic armory. He's mapping all these CTI behaviors in the development of our rule sets. So Kevin Lowe, he fills our Slack pretty often, weekly, daily even, I think. Keeps us sharp on what's going on out there in the headlines, and you'll be able to hear from it all today as far as what attacks, permanent attacks we've been seeing as of this year. We're halfway into the year, and also how to circumvent them, right? As far as what to keep in mind. So as always, if you enjoy this kind of content and want to stay in the loop with us, join us live here bi-weekly, or you can catch the replays on our YouTube channel. So Kevin, I can shoot it on over to you to get us started.
Thanks, Alex, for the fantastic intro. Hello, everyone. My name is Kevin, threat researcher here at Anvilogic. Prior to Anvilogic, I was serving roles in digital forensics, cybersecurity operations, and detection engineering. So all blue team efforts, and happy to be here to focus on intel and research to learn about adversary techniques to help support our data science, threat hunting, and detection engineering efforts. And of course, to help inform the public on these latest in adversary activity and attack trends. So, which brings us to this presentation. Topics we'll cover: discussing the attack techniques, how organizations are being compromised, touch point on how adversaries are using AI, not to get lost in the negativity, some of wins in cybersecurity as well. And as we close, a reminder on the topics to keep in mind, as the second half of 2024 will likely be as eventful as the first. So for our first prominent technique, probably comes with no surprise, PowerShell. This versatile tool is deeply integrated into the Windows operating system. It's great for sysadmins, so it makes it ideal for threat actors as well. It truly exemplifies why threat actors are abusing living off the land binaries, especially with PowerShell's versatile and vast suite of commands and commandlets. So some list use cases are obfuscating commands with encoded commands to evade detection, downloading payloads. So often you would see threat actors delivering in their initial payload a zip file containing a shortcut LNK that will execute a PowerShell download command. Other uses, proxy execution for other load bins, so like run DL32, regres VR32 to load malicious script DLLs, often Cobalt Strike beacons, C script or W script for BBS scripts or JavaScripts, Majda for HTA files. And I'll give a good example, and kudos to Red Canary for their report on this, helping to prevent a ransomware incident at a hospital. So one of the key findings was identifying suspicious PowerShell activity from a Microsoft Exchange process. So having the knowledge of them knowing the parent-child relationship being something to warrant investigation from W3 WP process, calling PowerShell to run a long encoded command. Later on in the report, also talked about how PowerShell was used to disable Windows Defender. So no shortage of examples of PowerShell. We can probably go hours discussing suspicious use cases with it, but these are just some examples showing how crucial it is to monitor for various PowerShell use cases.
Yeah, no surprise there. I was reading the latest 2024 mid-year cyber threat report from SonicWall.
I think we lost Alex.
Can see you, but we can't hear you, Alex.
Still no?
We got you now.
Oh, it said my
Is there a
internet
method
connection
to
is
your
unstable.
madness?
No. No, my internet connect. Maybe it was a CrowdStrike outage. We have CrowdStrike here, but no. I was gonna say the latest report from SonicWall reported that in 90% of the malware families last year, they have in one form and another the usage of PowerShell. From a detection perspective, though, how it's because PowerShell is used obviously very legitimately also. So what would you say is the best practice there to distinguish, right, legitimate versus illegitimate PowerShell use?
Oh, yeah, certainly that one's very tricky, right? There's a lot of opportunities here, as you can see from the graphic. Like we can't possibly encapsulate all the various commandlets associated with PowerShell. A lot of it does require some intimate knowledge with your environment. So security professionals knowing how activity is conducted, what's in policy or compliance, making sure those are being adhered to, and just kind of communicating, having that open dialogue, knowing, having a second pair of eyes, making sure that what's being looked at is malicious. So unfortunately, just kind of with a vast array of how this could be abused is certainly a difficult one-by-one, case-by-case basis.
Yeah. Well, even from a CPU usage, right? Like encoding, like to see what someone is doing, would you go into the effort of decoding it? Right, because that's a lot of significant CPU to decode things, everything on the fly all the time. But I guess I'm comforted with the fact that, if you just look for the attempted and, encoded usage, it's like if you were doing something legitimately, why would you need to encode it?
Yeah, I mean, you say that a lot with having a security operations center running, just coming across alerts that you would think are easy suspicious alerts to kind of have an easy red flag for, but sometimes it's actually within accepted use. Sometimes encoding commands by sysadmins could just be a safety practice or and other kind of use cases for that as well. So can't fully say, unfortunately, that all encoded commands require or like is a telltale sign of malicious activity.
Yeah.
But definitely go through the effort of decoding it, making sure you're fully analyzing, triaging, following steps, and making sure the activity and what surrounds the activity is above board.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And also just wanted to drop what's coming very, very soon. If you did want to decode any kind of event or payload, Monty Copilot will have that function able to be called on and is able to decode obfuscated PowerShell commands. So that's coming very, very soon. Sorry, I digress. You can keep going.
Yeah, thanks for the conversation, Alex. So next technique we have remote access software. As the name suggests, a tool, when executed, provides full remote access to the system. Popular tools, AnyDesk, Atera, ConnectWise, Screen Connect, TeamViewer, and multiple others. Threat actors can use these at various stages, typically posing as help desk if a user landed on a fake update site and instruct a user to contact them. Usually they'll have them download and execute the remote access software so they have full control to the system. Or this can also be used later in the intrusion as well, installing the tool to add more control and persistence for the attack. And abuse of this technique for remote access software was definitely aided with the unfortunate Screen Connect vulnerabilities, primarily CVE 2024-1709. Attackers accessed a setup wizard, writing a new user account to a temporary XML file. Exploitation of this technique was attributed to ransomware operators from Black Basta, Bloody, Lockbit, Play. So definitely no shortage of threat actors getting their hands on the latest and greatest in exploits. For detection guidance, I like to refer to Florian Roth, a great resource in the community. So in his response to the TeamViewer breach from a few months ago in June, he shares a consistent message to baseline the usage of remote access software in your environment. And baselining, as well as having like an asset management repository, will help immensely for helping provide a reference for the approved use of software to quickly flag those unauthorized users, right? Much more easier than the vast array of PowerShell commands we were just talking about, right? And lastly, we have third-party discovery tools. So like ADFine, Advanced IP Scanner, Soft Perfect Network Scanner. These robust tools provide comprehensive outputs of network and system information, enabling threat actors to identify high-value targets and pivot to their next stage of attack. Unlike native Windows binaries like ping, net, and ipconfig, which can be difficult to discern illegitimate activity from. These third-party tools aren't native to the system. So like the recommendation with remote access software, unauthorized use can be quickly identified through baselining or just validation with an approved software library finding that source of truth. All right. And then, so after we finish talking about the techniques, let's talk about the breaches themselves. And unfortunately, nothing groundbreaking here, but necessary to kind of reiterate to stress the importance to improve on these core areas. So starting with social engineering, of course, being a key area, advisories, particularly from CISA and the FBI, have called out threat actors like MotoLibra, Octotempest, ScatSpider. They have overlapping activities, so tracking of those is a little bit difficult, but they are described as experts in social engineering. They create well-crafted responses, well-crafted personas, thoroughly researching their targets and understanding tools used by organizations, knowing where and how to strike. And their targeting is not just to C-level executives, right, but also high-privileged administrators, finding their public information in sources like LinkedIn. Adversaries know how to persuade help desk support to reset passwords or MFA devices. So a lot of different methods here. It's important for users to be aware of these trends and be informed of how to spot phishing and where to escalate. And a quick thing I want to showcase from the Anvilogic scenario, when demonstrating how effective it is to create a sequence of threat identifiers in a logical manner. So between suspicious login activity like impossible travel or some kind of abnormal MFA activity, either a new device being registered or disabled or MFA fatigue attack. So threat actors bombard users with multiple vast, like hundreds of alerts, repeatedly trying to get them to misclick and accept the response. And then so after multiple failures, having a successful login followed by some sort of suspicious account usage. So kind of like, regular activity, but once you combine this all into like a threat scenario, you can kind of see a high fidelity alert for yourself.
I want to stress here the importance of this identity attack. I mean, it was last year that was super, super prevalent. It was 2023 was not a good year for identity provide. Well, let's just call them out. Okta per se. Okta experienced several breaches impacting super, super large companies like Twilio and MailChimp and Cloudflare and a bunch of others probably that I'm forgetting, but it's like no one is really like we're all still using Okta. We're all in it and we're all very much dependent on the fact to correlate it after the fact, right? Which is why I think this works very, very well in this case. If nothing is really being done on the Okta side, it's still going to happen. And so I think this is just so important for us to take to look into, right? Post after the fact, initial access attempts, right? Suspicious account usage, account modifications, just like the way that you see here. And if it can be grouped upon a correlated host or a user account or Okta account, even better. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, certainly important to have compensating controls. Unfortunately, breaches to organizations, right? They're difficult, and threat actors are always finding new ways to attack organizations. So difficult job for everyone. No one has it easy. But of course, with lessons learned, any organizations breach, very confident that they'll usually bounce back and have stronger implementations. So
yeah. It's a big deal. Like because if you do hijack, an Okta admin token, like no matter how much policies you have against certain actions, you can't protect those, you can't protect a lot of those API actions because it's a legitimate key if you already have access to the admin console. And so it becomes a behavior analysis detection at that point. So super, super great.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of pulling in more community input from Reddit, great resource there, but also it's in line with security research. The same suspects for breaches are what are mostly communicated. So bad password management and compromised credentials, password spraying, credential stuffing are very effective techniques. It can be more favorable for threat actors to purchase credentials on a dark web as opposed to going through and using the work to socially engineer targets or even stand up the domains necessary for a phishing effort. And a great resource as well, Verizon's Data Breach Investigations Report in 2024 identified over the past 10 years, stolen credentials have appeared in almost 1/3 of breaches, right? So very important to have strict password policies and making sure that users are understanding how to delineate between their personal and work accounts, not reusing passwords and creating strong, long password phrases. And we just talk about misconfigurations, right? Often with cloud resources having overly permissive or public exposed resources, it's definitely difficult to learn and keep up with emerging technologies and very smart threat actors targeting them. But it's important to know the best practices and have security in mind. The focus shouldn't be on just making the application or product work, but it's to ensure it can operate with minimal exposure. An example that you still unfortunately see is having resources not having specific routes for like remote access, RDP or SSH, leaving permissions wide open with any certainly pose a massive security risk. And of course, we can't fail to mention vulnerabilities and patch management. It's important to call for organizations to patch in a timely manner. Reports still unfortunately call out old and prominent vulnerabilities from 2020 and 2021. Not that long ago, but certainly very long in internet times. The latest being North Korean threat actors in Dario exploiting these vulnerabilities. And then on the flip side, timely patching is necessary for new vulnerabilities, with Cloudflare's application security report released a few months ago, finding that attackers create exploits as fast as 22 minutes after a proof of concept was released. So very important to kind of make sure to reduce your attack surface in any way, addressing these vulnerabilities and misconfigurations. So talking about the common means directors have been compromising organizations, it's meant to urge action because we can't afford to be stuck behind. Directors are getting better, and particularly with AI, while nothing severe or devastating has emerged, subtle improvements can still be concerning, such as social engineering. Overcoming language barriers, adversaries are able to craft convincing and harder to detect phishing messages, and AI can certainly help eliminate those grammatical errors. Like when as long as all the phishing awareness trainings you've taken, one of the telltale signs was like identifying grammar errors or misspellings. Well, with AI, those are certainly cleaned up. So it's going to be harder for us to discern the activity.
Would you say take it with a grain of salt?
Most definitely, yes. Nice one, Alex. Influence operations, leveraging AI to enhance disinformation campaigns by generating narratives that fit their agenda, distributing them at scale to manipulate public opinion and sow discord. This is also aided by AI-driven bots to help automate social media engagement. Definitely having to look at multiple reports on a daily basis. Definitely have to cross-check multiple resources or sources, making sure the message is consistent and not having, we all try to be first. It's fantastic to be, but also having the information correct is just as important. And then lastly, malware development. So speaking as someone who's probably at best case a novice when it comes to programming, AI tools have been immensely helpful for me in creating scripts for day-to-day tasks. So you can imagine how dedicated adversaries can abuse it and figure out ways to jailbreak safeguards. We can always count on adversaries to continue to advance their tactics, and we need to do the same as from a defensive standpoint. All right, so trying to be a little bit more positive, so not all doom and gloom around here. So a lot of positive efforts here to call attention to. Various operations in disrupting a wide range of cybercrime activity, like ransomware infrastructure, malware botnets, call centers. For the Lockbit disruption, the FBI was able to offer approximately 7,000 Lockbit decryption keys to help victims recover their data. Even if these efforts are only deterring operations, there are still hurdles for adversaries to come, so anything to impede their progress on their attacks will be immensely helpful. And then with the detailed reports, it's easier to actionalize intelligence from advisories outlining tactics, techniques, and procedures for organizations to digest and implement. So fantastic work from law enforcement and multiple security organizations out there for their incredible work. And yeah, the second half of 2024, we actually have a lot going on, and then probably more than I'm capturing here. So
Oh my God, recall.
yeah, AI will continue to advance, and it'll affect our daily lives more and more. So, like Alex said, Microsoft Recall, it was immensely helpful having multiple individuals be vocal about the security and privacy implement privacy risk of Microsoft's Recall feature, enough to have Microsoft change course on its release. And just keep in mind also, like if you're purchasing new devices, will likely have new AI features in it. So just kind of more risks associated with your own personal information and kind of understanding what's at stake when you're using such devices, and how, of course, how it's storing data and the questions you're asking for. Critical infrastructure, unfortunately, it's been a brutal year for healthcare industry. Of course, attacks with Ascension and Change Healthcare having severe impacts for patients and staff who are already dealing with very difficult challenges and circumstances. Unfortunate to see calls for blood donations with the latest incidents going around OneBlood and a few months ago with hospitals in London. Drago's reporting Frosty Group malware impacting Ukrainians with their ongoing war in Russia, leaving households without heat in freezing conditions for about 2 days, and other campaigns yet to unfold. Volt Typhoon has repeatedly been advised to be of concern, with attacks aiming to disrupt cause disruption. So a lot of things to look out for in the critical infrastructure space. Paris Olympics happening right now. It remains to be seen how this develops. But before the Paris Olympics began, of course, threat actors took advantage by creating a lot of fake domains, pretending to be legitimate sites to purchase tickets. So no opportunities missed for threat actors.
Oh, a lot of fake domains for the CrowdStrike outage too, since so many people were racing to provide info on on CrowdStrike's rec website. So they took full advantage of that. It takes a certain kind of person to react to a misfortune like that, but also against healthcare organizations. But yet no one is targeting like my student loans.
One day, Mr. Robot will be come true. But yeah, threat actors have no empathy for these for their efforts. And then Bluff's threat Lockbit in around June 25th, I believe. They bluffed that they had compromised the Federal Reserve and are releasing data, but researchers found from the leak that it was fortunate to be disingenuous. The U.S. election, of course, very turbulent times here in the U.S. The FBI and CISA recently issued a advisory regarding DDoS attacks on election-related infrastructure. So things to look out for there, and more to come.
Yeah, big election to come. Big election for us.
Vulnerabilities, certainly we're never short of these every year or a week, a day. Multiple ones called out here, but big kudos to Andres Fournette. Hopefully I pronounced his name correctly. Saved probably avoided a global catastrophe there. A Microsoft researcher having serious attention to detail, just noticing 500 millisecond latency to avoid malicious code in open source software, foiled a well-planned 2-year effort by a threat actor using a fake persona and taking advantage of a burnout maintainer. So fantastic work on Andre's side, and we should be thankful to him every day. And then a lot of things to kind of have warnings for. Be alert when voice cloning, certainly concerned, and don't answer any calls or messages from unknown numbers, or if you're not expecting the call, even better, just kind of don't engage with their actors. Even picking up a call or answering a message can have risks, just kind of a proof of life in the sense that they know it's an active number. Last year, there was also a surge of fake USPS sites during peak holiday shopping season. So be cognizant at the time. Be cognizant at the time of the year, and threat actors being able to capitalize on all major events. So yeah, as we nearing the conclusion of this presentation, I want to give a big appreciation to the community. The security community, it's always unique in that everyone's so willing to speak up and share knowledge, particularly with emerging threats and technology. So as Alex pointed out earlier with the fake domains for the unfortunate CrowdStrike outage, researchers were quick on X Mastodon posting domains for users to be aware of. So always great great work around there. System administrators, of course, always thankful for the folks who keep the lights on and responding to fires, right? All those who have to answer those on a daily basis, whether those are headline news or not. And then with the takedown operations, all the security companies that were involved in a law enforcement effort on these. So tremendous job all around, and making the world, the digital world, a safer place. Some references here in case anyone wants to dive deeper into the references we use for this presentation. And just one last plug for us. If you like what we've done and you like what you've seen and heard today, feel free to follow the free resources released by the Anvilogic 14, our GitHub repository featuring detections made by our expert detection engineers. We release new content daily. Well, weekly, sorry. The techniques that we outlined earlier with PowerShell, remote access software, and third-party tools are all in that repository for you to take a look at. And also to be informed about latest and trending threats, mapping detection content to the latest intrusions and adversary campaigns. Please follow our Forge Threat Report. We release those every Tuesday. And the sign up link is right there available for you.
And we've got something cooking, right? Right, Kevin, we've got we're thinking about releasing a threat report, like a annual threat report as well. So that's in the mix. Also wanted to throw out the idea for y'all. Would be really helpful to stay very close and in contact to talk about topics that you wish to see on here. Maybe we can open up like a Slack channel or a Discord or a Signal. I guess everyone's on Signal this year because of DEF CON. That's where they prefer to talk. Whatever is best. We are always keen to stay close and for you guys to share topics that you'd like to see on here.
And speak about staying close and cooking. We will be in Vegas enjoying the wonderful weather at Black Hat. So happy to engage with anyone who's there and stop by our booth.
Yeah, we're let's pull that up. I want to show y'all if you guys will be there. These are all of the events that you guys can join us on.
Is anybody here going to be a Black Hat?
See here. We'll be having a couple of parties. Exciting parties, by the way, and specifically Black Hat. Of all of the trade shows out there, Black Hat has the best parties. We'll be at the Skyphone Lounge on Tuesday. We'll be at Top Golf again on Wednesday. We're gonna be we'll have a session on Thursday. We're gonna have a book signing by Rebecca Blair. If you guys haven't read her book, she writes a lot of MITRE content. So she'll be signing there some copies, and we'll be giving out some copies for free, as well as DEF CON. We're gonna have a pool party with completely open bar, free tacos as well at the Asilo. Super cool setup and party and DJ. Which, by the way, John Summit will be playing in the hotel right next to it, so we may hear some of John Summit's music, and we all love that. We all love him. He's from Chicago. And then a Guide Point DevCon happy hour at Red Tail at Resorts World. So this is all of our events at Black Hat. If you're going to be there, if you guys want to stop by and say hi. Also, if you don't, that's okay too. I'm also we publish some restaurants that are great for like solo dining if you prefer not to socialize while you're eating. We have a good list on LinkedIn. Any questions? Wonderful weather. I know, right, Tiana? 100 degrees. I don't know if that's wonderful. All right. Well, then I will see you guys in a couple of weeks. We're going to have the Cribble, a Cribble collab here on Dispatch. We're going to be talking about the technical benefits of owning your data pipeline, why you should free yourself from data hostage, and as well as feature one of the latest integrations that we have with Cribble Stream. So if you want to learn all about that, stay tuned in a couple of weeks. If you'll be at Black Hat, we'll see you there. Have a wonderful week.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Kevin.
Thanks, Alex.